Welcome to the Millionaire Hairstylist Podcast. I'm Jordan Drake, your host, joined in just a bit by our founder, celebrity hairstylist Cash Lawless, on the podcast where we talk mindset, models, and money with the most successful hairstylists, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators in the beauty industry, the hair industry, and beyond. Let's go.
When you think about the kind of money you want to make and the career you want to have, do you envision yourself standing behind the chair 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again until the day you die?
I really want everybody to see their price as the first ceiling to break through.
This is the part no one talks about, the money.
Long before he was cutting the hair of celebrities like Justin Bieber and Bella Hadid, our founder, Cash Lawless, was a student at the Paul Mitchell Hair School in Jacksonville, Florida. And our guest today on the podcast is Winn Claybaugh, the dean of Paul Mitchell Schools, who not only had a huge impact on Cash in those early days, and we'll talk about that in our conversation with him, but has impacted countless professionals in the hair and beauty industry as an educator and motivational speaker. We talk with Winn about everything from what holds hairstylists back from success, how to attract career-altering mentors, and why everyone needs to be a motivational speaker to succeed in business. Here's Winn Claybaugh on the Millionaire Hairstylist Podcast.
Winn, I am incredibly excited to be able to chat with you for the next hour. So thankful for your time. You have an incredible role in my story as a hairstylist. I've known you for my hair school days. 2009 is when I met you.
Okay.
And I've never gotten the opportunity to spend a lot of time to see how you've achieved what you've achieved and what your story is and where you come from. I know I've heard so much from you, and you struggled through a ton. And your story is just insane. The small bits that I've heard from your podcast, I've listened to your podcast for years before it was even podcasting was a word. And so I'm just extremely curious. How did you get here?
Well, if you and I started our journey together in 2009, I had already had 25 years of doing this before that happened. So fortunately, I was hopefully able to get it right after 25 years of experiences before you showed up, Cash, to then really do a good job on your behalf, because you were a future professional in my school, which meant you're my number one customer. You are the reason why we exist, the reason why I have a roof over my head, the reason why I have a beautiful life is because I have future professionals who chose to follow a dream that I had. Some of them even before they were born, I had that dream. And I love the school business. I actually started off in the salon business first, and I'm not sure that you want to hear this, but to tell you the truth, had I only stayed in the salon business, meaning had I not gotten into the school business, I really doubt that I would still be in the beauty industry today. Really, what helped me fall in love with the beauty industry was not so much the salon side of it, but the school side of it. I fell in love with students. I fell in love with teachers, with learning leaders, and many of the learning leaders that work for me in our schools. You better believe they were, or they still are, very successful hairdressers in the salon, and yet they have a passion for giving back. They have a passion for mentoring, and many of them they take a cut in their salaries to be able to be in a school, either full time or part time, to share their wisdom and share their knowledge. And so, for me to be able to hang around that group on a regular basis helped me fall in love with the beauty industry. And then also to work with students, brand new people entering the beauty industry. My good friend, James Morrison, very successful hairdresser, he tells the joke, how many hairdressers does it take in the salon to teach a new haircut? 100. 1 to do the cut and 99 to stand there and say, oh, I could do that. And oftentimes that can be the attitude in a salon. There can be, not just exclusive to the beauty industry, to the salon industry, but in other industries as well. People can get a bit tainted. They can get a bit entitled. They can lose track of that gratitude and that humility, which is to me so unattractive. And yet students, brand new people entering the industry, they're just so hungry. They're so excited to learn. I mean, I can walk into my school with the stupidest idea, and they are like, "Yes, let's do that." And I just love that energy. And so that's how I fell in love with the industry. Yes, I love the salon business, but more than that, I really love getting into the school business, which for me now has been almost 40 years.
How did you get into the school business? What's the story behind that? I mean, you don't just go from, I own some salons and now I own all these schools.
Well, that's exactly what happened. I had a couple of salons, and I could certainly tell that salon story. And I hope that I do get the chance to tell that salon story. But I had a couple of salons, which meant I needed to hire more stylists. And as I was interviewing the graduates, because somebody told me a long time ago, don't steal from other salons. Don't do that, Winn. Don't put out that bad karma by stealing from somebody else. And so I thought the best way to bring on new team members into my salon was to hire them right out of beauty school. And so with the beauty schools that existed in my city at that time, I was interviewing these graduates, and I'm like, what have you been doing for the last year? They weren't at all, after 2,000 hours in beauty school, they weren't at all ready to compete and work in the salon business. And so I thought, the best way to train them would be to train them myself. It's what you don't know sometimes can be your best asset. I didn't know that it wouldn't work. And I'm sure that I had successful business leaders who from the sidelines were watching me run my company. And I'm sure that they were thinking, oh my gosh, he'll be out of business by next week. Okay, so he flew by that red flag. Okay, the following week, he's going to be out of business. He does not know what he's doing. By the way, that they were right, but I still had that aggressive, that assertiveness, that passion, that desire to be successful. And that drive, absolutely, eventually it paid off after years and years and years. And so, maybe when I should have gone out of business because I had bad practices, but I learned from those bad practices, but somehow I made it through all of that and became a very successful school owner as well.
What's the salon story?
I'm not a hairdresser. I've never been a hairdresser. I actually, again, started my first salon was almost 40 years ago. Never went to college, not one day of college. I barely, and I mean barely, graduated from high school. Apparently, they want you to show up. I was busy, I told them. But I had some money from another career, from another little industry that I had, which, we don't have to talk about that. But now people are going to think it was something illegal. You guys, I was a rock star. Okay. I was a rock star. Let me just tell you that.
What instrument did you play in your rock band, Winn? I feel like you're a bassist.
I wrote and sang, and I had a little band, and we toured in South America. We had a hit song down there, and all of a sudden I had some money from a hit song that I wanted to invest in some type of a career. I had friends that were hairdressers, and they talked me into opening up a little salon, which is what I did. It was a 3-chair salon. It was about the size of my closet, tiny space. Get this, it was in the basement of an office building in downtown Provo, Utah. Okay, so not even a retail center, not even, street level where you could see it. It was in the basement of an office building. My rent was $205 a month. I mean, how wrong can you go when you only are invested $205 a month? But, that was a lot of money, without having anything, no experience, no business education, no college degree. And of course, I was the accountant. I was the shampoo boy. I did the towels. I was the receptionist. I did payroll. Back then you do everything. But I hired some incredible people. I partnered with some wonderful people. I had some friends that are celebrities who lived in Provo, Utah. I'll just tell you now, because I'm going to drop names right now. Donnie and Marie Osmond are friends of mine. And so Donnie's wife, Debbie Osmond, they were kind of newlyweds at the time, didn't have any kids yet, but Debbie came into our salon and we did a before and after makeover on her. And those photos ended up on the front page of the local newspaper. Forget about it. We were then booked for months in advance, right? And then so because of that, we decided to open up a second salon, get this, across the street in the basement of another office building, but it was like 3 times the size. And so we were expanding rapidly, and then opened up a third salon and then a fourth salon. And by the time we had opened up the second salon, we were then in the planning stages of opening up a school. And I look back at those days, I was actually reminiscing because I pulled out the photo of the ribbon cutting of the grand opening of that school and look at some of those faces. Get this, some of those people who were at that ribbon cutting still work with me or are my business partners today. I'm really, really proud of that. And again, that was almost 40 years ago, but that exciting times, just so fun. The idea of being able to hustle and to have so much drive and motivation in your belly, and that's what gets you out of bed every single morning. I envy the person that I was back then. I love the person who I am today, but I envy that person back then that had all of that drive and everything was brand new and everything was an adventure. It was an awesome time.
You've still got this same high energy of when I first encountered you, and I remember that moment I first encountered you. I heard you were speaking in Florida, and this is obviously 25 years into you already had dozens and dozens of schools across the country, and so I had heard a bit from your interview with Vidal Sassoon from Masters, and I was a student, and I heard you were coming. I had no car, I had no money, I had no gas. Somebody else was generous enough to pay for my entry to school, and I thought I have to get to Orlando to hear this guy. When I saw you on stage, I immediately thought I want to be just like him. And I thought that was maybe a motivational speaker or whatever you were doing. I wanted to do whatever you were doing. You still have that energy and that passion and that drive. And it seems like to me, but what I really wanted, what I saw in you was that I wanted to be confident. I wanted to know where I was going. I wanted to make an impact. And I saw you doing all these amazing things that just attracted me to you as a person. I saw you as someone who was incredibly generous, incredibly motivational, driven, and just you were a lighthouse and you are, I'm sure, for all the learning leaders, all the future professionals, professional hairdressers across the country, thousands and thousands of people look to you and see your energy and hear your speeches, and I know are as influenced as I am. So I don't think you've lost a smidge of that energy, and you're still working out every single morning.
You know what? You have to. It's if it doesn't come naturally, and sometimes it's easy. Sometimes you just pop out of bed before the alarm clock goes off, and other times it's like, oh my gosh, what's it going to take to get me going today? But the good news is, on those days when it isn't working naturally, I know what I need to do, and I still do what I need to do. So, I'm 62 years old, so yeah, I'm at the gym 5 days a week.
I guess what's so curious to me, Winn, is for someone who looms so large in our story and also in the industry, not being a hairstylist, has that been an advantage or a disadvantage to you?
You know what? Nobody has ever checked my resume. Nobody has ever, tried to call me on it. Hey, I did some research on Winn, and he has no college education. He has no certification to be able to do what he does. Nobody's ever checked up on me. The only thing that people knew about me was, Winn is kind of excited. Let's just work with Winn because he's very excited. So all they ever knew was that I'm excited. Some people tell me that I make coffee nervous, but I like that about myself. And so, I know people who have 100 times more knowledge, more experience, more brilliance, more wisdom, more contacts than I do. And yet they're stuck. They can't get anywhere because there's no passion and enthusiasm behind that. And there's something to be said. Cash, you said, gosh, in watching me, do I want to become a motivational speaker? And the answer is yes. Everybody should be a motivational speaker, because at the end of the day, if you have brilliant ideas to share, and by the way, who doesn't? If you're a stylist in a salon trying to build a clientele, yeah, you have ideas that you need to sell to somebody else. You need to sell that to a salon owner to get a job, right? You need to sell that to your fellow coworkers for them to engage with you and support you, because it's a team effort in the salon. And it doesn't matter if you're booth renters or independent contractors or salaried stylists, you need that camaraderie amongst the people that you work with. You need to sell yourself to a customer. You need to upsell products and services and raise your prices. And so all of us have to sell something. Well, when you know how to use your words, you know how to form ideas and dialogues and sell those to other people, you can stand in front of one person or in front of a team of people in a salon or in front of thousands of people on a stage at a motivational event, and your words can move people. Your words can make them laugh, can make them cry, can make them think more of themselves, where they want to leave there and they want to take action, they want to do something. That's a great skill set. And I challenge everybody. Well, I don't want to be a motivational speaker, Winn. That's not my career choice. No, still become a motivational speaker where you know how to move people with your words and with your passion. And so,
well, here's what I'm curious about. So, Cash, when you were going to the Paul Mitchell schools and you were at first even heard about Winn, what was Winn saying then at the event that you went to where you heard him speak that so resonated with you and then caused you to want to walk up on stage or walk up to the stage afterwards and introduce yourself?
It actually wasn't, it wasn't what he said. It was the presence he brought into a room and how he communicated that he really believed and cared about our futures and what was possible for us. Because I was a hairstylist. I wasn't trying to become a billionaire. I was in a place in my life where I was just trying to get to the next stage and make $1, and I wanted to do it with what I was really attracted to at the time, which was art. I was really interested in the artistry side of being a hairstylist, which is a lot of what attracts people to this industry. Winn walked on that stage and he lit a spark that 12, 13 years down the line is still in me. And I still remember the feeling I got. So when Winn walked onto the stage, and I remember how he made me feel. Like I remember how energized, excited. I went up to him. He probably doesn't remember any of this. I still have the picture I took with him. I walked up to him, was so nervous, and I was just like, I want to be like you. I want to do what you do. And I asked for his email, and he gave me his email. And we emailed back and forth. I played piano for a bit, and I was learning piano at the time as well. And so Winn had also had some musical experience. We chatted about that, and I wanted to be in communication with that type of energy. I wanted to be connected with that, and that's what ultimately he does for thousands and thousands of
Is that something you remember, Winn, at this point when you first met Cash, or is it just there were so many people you were meeting that
I remember the exchange. I remember the exchange after the event, and because I clearly remember his story, and his story moved me. And I love when people tell their story. I believe that the best teachers, the best mentors, the best leaders are storytellers. And sometimes the only story that people want to tell is the story of all of their successes, of all of their awards and their accolades, and then they leave out the part that makes them human. And by the way, it's those stories that make you human, the stories of falling down and getting back up. I mean, those are the ones that really help a team of people or an individual one-on-one, somebody that's struggling. That's what endears them. When I talk about my journey to sobriety, you better believe I'm now engaged with the part of the audience that absolutely needed to hear that information. And if all they heard that, wow, Winn won this award and Winn makes this kind of money and Winn drives that kind of a car, well, then they leave my event and they don't have any hope. They don't have any ideas, anything to look forward to on their journey to sobriety or whatever their journey is. And so yeah, I absolutely remember Cash's story, and I know that I've encouraged him to tell his story every opportunity that he can. Even when that story is 20 years old, to still tell that story is a powerful way to lead and teach and mentor people.
There was another sort of interface moment then now many years later where we reached out to you, or Cash reached out to you, as we were starting to put together the Millionaire Hairstylist. And I'm sure, as he explained at the time, the mission of this program has been about eradicating hairdresser poverty through the mastery of mindset, models, and money. And one of the things we've learned is some of the white spaces that often occur in the hairstylist community about things that people just aren't learning about. A lot of it is the financial side. A lot of it is sort of the bigger picture decision-making models. And Cash, much like you have on the Masters podcast, Cash has learned so much from his mentors, people like yourself and others he's worked with. And that's a lot of the information that we're incorporating into this program. What I'm curious about is someone who has been literally teaching and inspiring people for so many years. What do you see as some of the challenges that hairstylists face most often that you've addressed with your curriculum and with your speaking, and that you've seen as these consistent themes over the years?
Boy, that's a real loaded question right there. So first of all, how about if we start with the new stylist? Is that where you want to start?
Sure. Just coming out of hair school, tell us about them and what they're facing.
All right. Some people call them the microwave generation. And I'm not saying that to offend anybody, but meaning it can be that generation that wants things instantly. I can hit one tennis ball and I'm ready for Wimbledon, right? I watched a YouTube video on makeup, and now Warner Brothers should call me as their lead makeup stylist expert, right? And so meaning they want all the accolades, they want all the results, all the prizes, they want the money, the fame without doing the work. People want that spotlight. And the truth of the matter is, if people got the spotlight today, most people would make a total fool of themselves. Why? They're not ready. They're not ready. And there's nothing wrong with that. It takes time to get ready. And I remember a student a couple of years ago reaching out to me, saying that he wanted me to help him with his goal of becoming Britney Spears hairdresser. I'm like, okay, that's very specific. You want to be Britney Spears hairdresser. And I said to him, I get it why you would choose Britney Spears. I said, I get that. But would Britney choose you? See, I know Britney's hairdresser, right? He's an incredible guy. And so I asked this student, I said, are you better than Britney's current hairdresser, who, by the way, has been working over 20 years in his career to have that kind of an opportunity? If you're not better than him, why would Britney choose you? And so sometimes we say that we want something, but without really realizing the work that goes into it, without staying humble. And so the first advice that I would have for new people new stylists entering the industry is realizing that it does take time. It sort of breaks my heart a little bit that stylists or that my graduates or that any graduate brand new stylist entering the industry thinks that beauty school is all they need to then work by themselves, build a clientele without ongoing mentoring and training and skill set and education. They think that they don't need that. You go to a hair show and the business classes are empty, right? Yet they all want to be more successful. They all want to make more money. They want that same the benefit of being financially successful, and they think that the skill set of being a hairdresser, i.e. doing hair, having great consultations, giving an incredible massage, playing really cool music, they think that those skill sets carry over in helping them become really good business people. And it's, we just know that that's absolutely false. It's false, and you need to understand that. So just as you would seek after somebody like a Vivian McKinder, a Ruth Roach, or a Ted Gibson as a great mentor artistically, and you better believe they are, you also need to make sure that you have wonderful business mentors, that side of it, people who are successful on the business side of it. Oh, and by the way, Ted Gibson happens to be both, right? Some of these other people, they happen to be both, but some are not. So choose wisely your mentors and categorize them as to what you're going to learn and gain from that mentor. So just to wrap this question up, and it's a super long answer, make sure that you have this passion for lifelong learning. I know 18-year-olds who already know it all. How sad is that? How unattractive is that? I know 80-year-old hairdressers who are still the first in line at any educational event. They're front and center with their mannequin head, learning a new haircut. They're on the front row of a business or motivational seminar. They still have that passion, that desire for learning. And to me, that is so attractive.
One of the myths that I've shared with my assistants, and that I believed this myth, and it held me back greatly, was that because I'm an artist, I'm not good with numbers. I can't be good at business. I'm an artist. That's not my thing. And I felt that was a myth, because I asked people, how'd you become an artist? And they say, well, I trained and I learned and I studied and I went to classes and I went to school for thousands of hours, and then I assisted for years. And so, did you do that with the numbers, or did you do that with any of the simple business stuff? And so it comes down to this big myth that we think because we're one way, we can't be good at something else. And we've seen that proven wrong over and over. Ted Gibson's an excellent example of that. We both know Ted, and he's he's got several businesses, and he's an amazing artist, and he's an amazing showman, and he's great on TV. So these limiting thoughts that I used to have held me back for so long. What are some of the limiting thoughts or myths that you see hairstylists really struggling with that you're like, heck no, that's not true. And if you can kick that myth, it'll open a lot of doors for you?
I think that there is some real value in knowing what your lane is. So there are some hairdressers that say, I am a colorist and that's all I do. Do not ask me to cut your hair. You're going to look like wind if I cut your hair. So they've chosen their lane. This is my lane, and they're true to that lane, and they become the best of the best of the best in that. And that is absolutely awesome. I don't want to become a salon owner. Van Council is a good friend of mine, and he has some superstar, very financially, artistically successful hairdressers that still work under his umbrella. And they probably, most people would think that they probably could go out on their own and open up their own salon. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to stay in my lane. I love it that somebody like a Van Council is brilliant enough to have these incredibly successful salons, and I just want to stay where I'm at. Okay. So that's great if that's what works for you, to stay in your lane. But you're right, it is limiting in thinking that that's all I can do, because that would be, again, like me saying, because I don't have hair, I can't be in the hair industry. Because I don't have a college education and barely graduated from high school, then I can't be financially successful and good in business. Right. So we all have those limited beliefs. Because I'm a parent and I work full time, I can no longer exercise. And so we have all kinds of limiting beliefs. And the how you escape that is to make sure that you're connected to the right people, because there's so many naysayers out there. There are so many naysayers. No, sorry, you just said cash yourself. There were naysayers that said you're an artist, so no, you can't be good at numbers. Well, okay, thank you for sharing. Now, please get out of my way, because I'm busy. I got stuff to do here. And align yourself with the right people. You show me right now your circle of friends, the people that you're choosing to spend time with right now, and I'll tell you exactly where you're going to be in a year from now and 10 years from now. You show me that circle that you're choosing to hang around today. I'll tell you, based on that circle, how much money is going to be in your bank account in about 10 years from now. I'll tell you what your marriage will look like, what your self-esteem will feel like, all based on who you choose to hang around today. And so maybe some people listening to this have a very difficult decision to make about who should be in their lives and who should not be in their lives. So I'm really, really clear. I don't have a lot of naysayers in my life. I have people, and you better believe I give them permission to be honest with me. It's not a lot of them, because I can't hear it from too many people, but because that just hurts my little heart. But who, what, Winn, hey, you're wrong. Winn, you screwed this one up. Hey, Winn, your thinking here is old school. Hey, Winn, this thinking and how you're going about this is really limiting, and things have changed, times have changed, or Winn, you're not seeing it from this perspective. So yeah, I have those people in my life, and I give them that permission to be that way for me. But those who just want to stand on the sidelines and just poo-poo. I heard it once said that people who have abandoned their dreams will try to steal yours.
Part of the Millionaire Hairstylist story is that I was a broke hairstylist, homeless, living on the street in an abandoned car that was not mine in the winter in Portland, Oregon. Nowadays, that's kind of cool. But it wasn't back then. And I got inspired as someone came along and said, read some books. You're going to read books. So I started reading books. Well, your book was one of the first books I read. I read Think and Grow Rich. And right after that book, I read Be Nice or Else. And these two books got me rolling. And now I've read hundreds and hundreds of books. I'm a voracious reader. Those people became my mentors when I didn't have access or wasn't attracting anybody into my life. I wasn't emotionally ready yet. And as I went through school, people like you came in, spoke into my life, whether it was through email, a phone call, a motivational speech, a podcast that they were recording, all the stuff we're sharing now, the conversations we're having. I'm doing what was done for me. As I went through school, I I worked my way up, became the hairdresser to some of the biggest celebrities in the world, became a multi-millionaire as a hairstylist, which is an uncommon feat. And all of that really happened because there were figures in my life who were pointing me in the right direction, because it was very obvious and there was no way I was figuring that out by myself. I was drinking a liter of rum a week and sitting right before I'm on the street, and in the worst place of my entire life. And I know you've been in a place like that yourself. And I want to hear a little bit of your story, with how you came from, I know you used to struggle with addiction, and how you came out of that and got to where you are now, and why it's so important that you share that with people.
The fact that you guys have created this platform, and that you want to inspire others, and you want to have these conversations that matter, whether it's through a podcast or through your written material or for the events that you do live. So just kudos to two of you, and congratulations that you're inspiring and you're keeping these conversations going. My story of addiction is kind of different than other people. I always did things backwards. Most people, they experimented and they struggled with addiction in their teens or their 20s, or maybe, hopefully not in their 30s. Well, I was a nerd and a geek and everything in my 20s, just focused on building a company. And it wasn't until I was in my 40s that all of a sudden I became a drug addict. So I was already highly successful, very well known, very recognized, and then became a drug addict. And by the way, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be really good at it. So just so you know, I was a very good drug addict. Fortunately,
this is when you were running schools, or when you were owning a salon. At what stage was this problem occurring?
All of the above. Yeah, all of the above. So I was already partners with John Paul DeJoria. I was already, opening up Paul Mitchell schools when this happened. But fortunately, it only lasted for a little while. But it was still, trust me, I'm not trying to say that it wasn't bad, because it was bad. I'm not trying to say that, my addiction was more glamorous than somebody else's, because it absolutely was not. And I'm grateful, so grateful that I was able to climb out of that quickly. And again, as I shared earlier, 20 years clean and sober, that I'll be celebrating here in a few months. And oh, by the way, there are still people that I connect with on a daily basis. There are, a couple of people that every single day we connect about recovery. I support them in their recovery, and they support me. Sometimes it's texting, sometimes it's a 20-minute conversation, but I don't take that for granted. I don't ever feel or want to believe that I can now move beyond that. And it's something that I protect. Nowadays, and I heard this from another good friend of mine who is also sober, and I use this, we call it our superpower, our sobriety. Thank God it happened to us. Not that I would wish it on anybody, but now I look at it like it's my superpower, because there's a sense of gratitude that never leaves me. The gratitude of, wow, I'm clean, I'm sober, I overcame that, and I could have lost everything and I didn't. And so that sense of gratitude, ask anybody, ask Oprah, who talks about the importance of gratitude. Ask my good friend Cedric King, who lost both of his legs in Afghanistan. He's grateful for the day that he stepped on that bomb. He says, when losing my legs was the best thing that ever happened to me. He said, had I not lost my legs, I probably wouldn't be married. My wife would have left me because I was a jerk. Losing my legs made me a better husband, a better father, a better human being. And so he lives every single life, and he has awareness of it. He has a reminder every time he looks down, and he has magical legs. That's what we would call them. I think he has like 5 pair, right? So there's the walking legs and the running legs and the marathon legs and the swimming, right? Anyway, but he has that reminder every day. He looks down, wow, I have no legs, and how grateful I am that happened to me. And I have that. Gosh, I'm emotional talking about that. That lives with me. That wow, that gratitude is in me, that I overcame that something devastating happened to me, and it made me a better human being. It made me more empathetic. it made me a better dad, a better person. And if I share that story over and over and over again, as much as I can, as much as I am able to do, it's going to help other people.
How did that change what you were presenting as part of being a speaker and at the head of these classes and these programs? Did it change what you were saying, or what kind of topics you were covering?
All, I was only like 3 months clean when I shared it from the stage, and it wasn't on purpose. It's not like I'm going to go on stage tonight and tell everybody that I'm 3 months clean off of drugs. It happened by accident. It slipped out because I was sharing the stage with somebody who knew about it, and they spilled the beans and asked me about it, and I wasn't ready. And there I am in front of a large audience, and I felt, I told the story, but I walked off the stage after feeling not violated, but exposed, and I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to tell the story. In the world of sobriety, they tell you to don't make any major changes or decisions for at least a year. Don't start dating somebody. Don't change your address. Don't move to a new apartment. Don't, just stay stable for a year. And all of a sudden I felt unstable because of exposing that from the stage. But what happened was a whole bunch of people ran backstage to find me. And they were like, wow, Winn, I'm struggling myself. Thank you for telling me that, because Winn, you look pretty good right now. And if you did it, then there's hope for me. Winn, I have a brother who's struggling right now. Thank you for telling me that story. So it turned into a really good thing. And although I wasn't ready at the time, what it did do for me was it gave me the opportunity and the insight that, okay, this will become part of my story forever. This will always become part of the message. So if I'm talking about customer service, oh, and by the way, can I tell you that I'm clean and sober as well? Can I tell you that story too? I always want to tell that story. And again, all of us have stories. We all have that story to tell. You being homeless, living in your car, drinking a bunch of rum. That has to be part of every story that you tell, because that's what captures people's attention. And then they want to hear what you have to say about your business ideas and how they too can become financially more successful. But I just think that we always have to be telling those stories too.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's incredible. And I love how you are still emotionally connected to your story. I think a lot of us they want to get through. We want to get there. And we're just like, we hate where we're at always. We're just like, I'm not there yet. I want to get there. And every single day is our opportunity to write this story that later gives our life a lot of meaning and impact when we get to impact other people with it. And your story has been incredibly impactful. And I really remember, you talking, you're in a black tuxedo in Las Vegas, speaking to thousands of people. And I can see you down there. I didn't get a good seat, by the way. You can see this little dot down there. Man. Exactly. Hopefully I'd get a little closer these days. But I can see you down there. And I remember just the entire stadium. It was like a massive arena in Las Vegas. I forget where it was, which hotel it was in, and how everyone was just laser focused in when you started talking about this. And I know that your story has impacted a lot of people, because I remember that moment where everyone just goes quiet. Like, your speeches are like very high energy, and you leave going like, oh, I can do anything. But you're right, that personal story is just so impactful, and we're really, really fortunate that you shared it here. And I hope hairstylists, business owners, salon owners, whether you're a hairstylist or not, listening can just look at what's going on in their life and ask themselves, like, what story am I writing right now that I'm going to be able to help other people with in the future. And you once, it looks like through this, you've gained a lot of wisdom. You've dealt with a lot of people, and you've made a lot of big decisions. You once said you can't Google wisdom. A lot of people were in a very tutorial-based I got everything I need to know at my fingertips mentality. I can just look up how to do it. I think we place too much emphasis on how we do things and not why we do things, and really determining what's important, what should be done when, and how should it be done. all we focus on to nowadays is like, I got Google. All I need to know is how to do it, and I'll have all the things I need. What did you mean by you can't Google wisdom? And how do hairdressers gain wisdom?
It's a great question. And yeah, we are fortunate today that there are so many resources available to us. One of the benefits, and there's lots of them, one of the benefits of COVID is that people have now embraced virtual learning, virtual meetings, virtual gathering. It will never, ever, it will never replace that we have to have a face-to-face connection with each other. That has to happen. But so whether it's YouTube, there's all kinds of resources out there to help us learn and help us grow. However, and yes, utilize those resources, but I think that the best teacher is through experience. But it doesn't have to be from your own experience. It can be from other people's experiences, meaning you don't have to become a drug addict to learn the lessons that I'm trying to share about my drug addiction. You don't have to become homeless and live in your car to learn the lessons that Cash can teach you about what you learned through that experience. And so, yeah, wisdom is a great teacher, but sometimes, or experience, I should say, is a great teacher. But the value of those lessons can sometimes diminish in the times that it takes to have the experience. So a wise person learns from other people's experiences. We call these other people mentors. We call them mentors. You can watch any awards show, and when they call people to the stage to accept their award, what's their speech? Is their speech, I am winning this award because I am freaking brilliant. Is that their speech? Unless they're Kanye. No, is that their speech? No. What's their speech? Thank you. Gratitude. I'm standing here accepting this award because of this person and this person. There's no way I could have made any of this happen without this person and this person and this person. So I'm always asking people, okay, well, who are those people then? Who are they in your life? You better know who they are in every area. So you have your mentors when it comes to being at the gym and who inspires you to get out of bed and exercise and eat right. Then you better have your artistic mentors. As we mentioned earlier, you have to have your business mentors. You have to have your spiritual mentors, those who keep you grounded and teach you the importance of philanthropy and giving back and using your heart and your skill and your voice to make a difference in the lives of other people. And so we all need different types of mentors. And as long as I'm saying that, choose wisely your mentors. Choose wisely, because sometimes we take advice from the wrong people. You ask for relationship advice from your friend who's been divorced 3 times and now she hates men. That's not your mentor. That's not who should be giving you advice. And so make sure that people have credibility. Those who you're seeking information from, your teachers, your mentors, credibility is absolutely important. And that advice is for both sides. So those of you who want to be a speaker, you want to be a teacher, you want to be a leader, you better have credibility. You better be talking the talk, but you better be living this as well. But as for those of you who are looking for great mentors, because again, you can't get the knowledge that you need only from YouTube or from Instagram or from this celebrity or that person, make sure that you're choosing wisely these people. So I do my research on the mentors that I follow. I really seek out everything about that person. If somebody inspires me, then I'm gonna dive deep in learning what I can from that person. I have people that are like, hey, Winn, I really want to meet Tabitha Coffey. She's one of my mentors. I love her. Can you connect me to Tabitha Coffey? I'm like, well, yeah, I can. But tell me what you know about Tabitha Coffey. Did you watch her TED Talk? No. Did you read that article she just put out? No. Did you listen to the interview that I did with her? No. But I really want to meet Tabitha. I'm like, you're not ready. You just want to meet Tabitha because she's famous and you think she's really cool. No, do your research on Tabitha. Honor Tabitha, honor your mentors by taking the time to learn everything that you can from that person, so that you're learning from other people's experiences. I was blessed to spend a great deal of time with Vidal Sassoon, but I never took advantage of that relationship. Right? I was blessed to know people like like Dolly Parton. Do you ever think I asked Dolly Parton to get me really good concert tickets? No, I never did. Right? That's not why I had a relationship with Dolly Parton, right? And when I went to the Dolly Parton concert at the Hollywood Bowl, I had the same seat that you had, Cash. I was way in the back, and Dolly Parton was this big on stage. The week before I was with her, right? I should have been. I'm thinking, how come I'm not in the front row? Because I know Dolly Parton. No. So there's a reason why you have mentors and people in your life, and respect those mentors. Because sometimes it's like a consume, give me all you got. And then you never hear from that person again. Where's the gratitude? Where's the love? We all consume. Are you a contributor as well? And so when I chose a mentor, I love you. You're a hero of mine. I've learned a lot from you. Now, what can I do for you? How can I serve you? Is there a charity that you're passionate about? Is there a cause that I can get involved with? One of my first mentors was Marianne Williamson. My gosh, I started going to seminars with her when it was 20 people meeting in her living room in the 80s. Now she has thousands of people that come to her events. She's on Oprah's team, has #1 bestsellers, very, very successful woman, right? Well, back then, what are you passionate about? Because you've done so much for me, Marianne. What can I do for you? Well, I raised money for this brand new charity called Angel Food or something like that. I'm sorry, it's changed names so many times, but basically they delivered meals to inbound patients, people who could not leave their home. Meals were delivered to their home every single day, right? And so I had a canister drive, right? So I had canisters literally on retail centers at the top retail store at the mall, and then in the candy shop and in the restaurant. Their little canisters, drop in your change. I mean, that's how important it was for me that I would go in my car from location to location, collect cans, dump out the change, add it all up and donate that to Marianne Williamson's campaign. I don't even know if she knew that I did that, but that it was important to me. That mentor had given me so much, I needed to give something back to her.
I love that. We have an expression, if you don't have a seat at the table, just serve water.
Ooh, I'm going to steal that one. And you're never going to be able to say that again, Jordan, because people are going to say, oh my gosh, Jordan, you stole that from Winn.
You can have it. Cash has it more than I do, but it's a good principle for learning from people and serving them in a way that allows you to develop those relationships and not be so me oriented. I've seen Cash do that both in his career and also what we're doing here on the Millionaire Hairstylist, just tapping into people who have these insights and learning from them. I do want to ask Cash. We were talking about a question we love to ask what's next for each of our guests. But before I get there, I do have one question. When you're gonna smirk because this is another big question, but maybe you can take a crack at it. You have interacted with so many successful people over your career. It's fascinating to me that you had a podcast before there were even podcasts with this master's CD that was flying around. So I love that you've been doing this a very long time, talking to people who have succeeded. Are there some commonalities across the Oprahs, the Betty Whites, the Dolly Partons, the Paul Mitchells, the Jean Paul DeJorias? Paul Mitchell, I know is not a person, but also Jean Paul DeJoria. My question is are there themes, are there commonalities that you've seen threaded across these people that go, these are why these people are the way they are, and there's some consistency there across these luminaries you've interacted with? Again,
a great question. Yes, there is a commonality, but it's the commonality that attracts me to them and them to me. When I choose a celebrity, and not that it's that easy, when I choose a celebrity that I want to engage in and I want to support their causes, it is because they have humility. It is because they are using their fame and their celebrity. And by the way, not just Betty White. I'm talking about people like Cash. I'm talking about that everyday brand new stylist who only has 5 clients that are loyal to them, but already they're giving back. Already they're organizing a walkathon to raise money for the local women's shelter, right? So they don't have any celebrity status yet, so to speak. They don't have thousands or millions of followers in their social media, but they're already doing the things that what I consider to be celebrity status. And so, yeah, the people that I'm attracted to as a mentor, my mom said that when I was a little kid, how she got me to eat breakfast was to tell me that that's what Walt Disney ate for breakfast. Now, I care about what Walt Disney has to say. I think that he was a brilliant man, and I read about him and I've studied him. And even as a little kid, I was attracted to him because I felt like, wow, there's a man who's doing something really, really good with his celebrity, with his ideas, with his fame, with his money. So much so that that's how my mom motivated me to eat breakfast. And so yeah, if I align myself with a celebrity, it's because I want to use their fame to spread a really good message. I think that all of us have to be part of what is called Generation G. And I know that you're going to ask me the question of what's next. And here I'm already answering that question. But I don't know. Did I answer this other question?
I think so. I'm hearing a theme of humility. You mentioned earlier that successful people are constant learners. We've talked about that a lot. The most successful people are reading the most. And it also sounds like generosity is another through line with the people that you surround yourself with and that you've talked through over the years. Is that fair?
Oh, it's very fair. And that is one thing that I will always love about the beauty industry. I have friends in other industries, so outside of the beauty industry, who tell me that the higher up they go in their industries, the more disillusioned they are by what they find at the top. Meaning that they climb that ladder, and the people that they find that are at the top of that ladder are not generous. They're not nice. They're wealthy. They're jerks. They're mean. They're abusive. They're stingy with their money, right? And in our industry, to me, it's the exact opposite. Some of the most famous people, again, Vidal Sassoon was a perfect example of that. I have been in rooms with Vidal Sassoon where there are 1,000 people trying to get his attention, right? Because they all want a picture of him. They all want to tell him their personal story, right? And so they're all, tugging on him, right? But if he's talking to you, what was he interested in? You. He was so laser focused on who he was talking to. And he wasn't sitting there talking about his money and his fame and his accolades. No, he was genuinely interested in you. Tell me about you. Wow, you're a brand new beauty school student. Why'd you choose this industry? What are your passions? What are your goals? And he was genuinely interested in what that person had to say. Oh my gosh, how much did that inspire me? I have connected my brand new beauty school students to superstars in the beauty industry, right? And call this person, here's their email address, get in touch with this person and they're going to help you out. And then the response that I get back is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got on the phone with Candy Shaw and she talked to me for a whole hour. I can't believe it. I wasn't going to call her because I thought, no, she's never going to return my call. She's never going to engage with me. But gosh, Winn, I can't believe she's so humble. She's so successful, and yet she took the time for me. And by the way, I could tell that story over and over and over again about many, many Candy Shaw types out there. And that's one of the things that I love about our industry. Our industry, maybe we're just inherently humble, or maybe just inherently generous. I'm not sure what the formula is, but I do know that it exists. And that's what gives me a lot of hope and pride to be in the beauty industry.
I'm a future professional. I still consider myself a future. I'm still trying to figure out how to be a professional. If there's anything we can do as being a resource for any of your students who are interested in learning about mindsets, business models, finances, or just how to be a good, good hairstylist, please, we want to support your students just like you supported me in my career and gave me the chance to be who I am today and inspired me and was a lighthouse for me for years. So if there's anything we can do to help you, your schools, your students, please let us know. Share my email. Do whatever you feel you can do to use us as a resource. But
thank you for that, because that's really important. I was face to face in front of course, they were all sitting there with masks on, but I got to be physically in front of my student body over the last couple of days. And I gave them here's my personal email address. And I've already received several emails, and it will happen to me that somebody will come up to me, and they're a successful stylist, and they'll say, you know what, when 10 years ago, I was in beauty school, you gave me your email address, I emailed you with some struggles, and you responded. Now, it probably took me 10 minutes to respond to their email, but the fact that I responded, they don't even remember what the conversation was. They don't remember anything other than I responded. I said that I would, and I did. And that alone was all that they needed.
Well, we sort of touched on it already, Winn, which is just share with us again and clarify what is next for you. What are you focusing on these days with you and your brand?
I'm very, very fortunate in that at this stage of my life, again, having been doing this for 40 years, becoming a dad later in life, because I was asked that question a lot from 20-year-old beauty school students that have little kids at home. They have a newborn at home and they're going to night school and working 3 jobs during the day. And they're like, how do you do it all? I'm like, I don't know. How do you do it? You're my mentor. You're the parent of the year, not me. I'm later in life. I can afford to hire help if I need it. I can choose to work out of my home and be there for my daughter at 6 o'clock to feed her breakfast and get her off to school every day, or drive her to school, or pick her up. Like, I have that luxury. So, and it's the same within my career, within my business. Half the questions, not even half, no, 90% of the questions you ask me, I think you guys had sent me some questions. I said, I can't answer that question. People ask me questions, 90% of how my company runs, I have no idea. I have no idea. And my standard answer is, I don't know, but I know who knows. So as long as I know who knows, and I hire the right people, and I'm really good to those people, the smartest IT people, the smartest financial people, the smartest attorneys, the smartest HR people are part of my team. And I love them, and I trust them, and I create a wonderful culture where they want to stay loyal to me. Well, then I have the freedom to move on and do the things that I really want to do. And for me, that's philanthropy. And so I get to utilize the Paul Mitchell School name to raise a lot of money and raise a lot of awareness for causes that we're collectively passionate about. And so some of the causes are ones that I chose myself. And then other causes and charities that we support are what other people brought to the table. So other people might have more of a passion for raising money for animal health and rescue than I do. And that was something that they were passionate about, and I want to support them. So you better believe now we're a big contributor to Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. Other people brought to me the idea that, gosh, Winn, there is a clean water crisis on this planet. Really? I didn't know about that. But somebody brought it to my attention. Oh my gosh, you're right. We need to do something about this. And so, yeah, we're a huge, big contributor and supporter of the Thirst Project, which is one of the largest youth movements for building clean water wells around the planet. I didn't really know much about the Gary Sinise Foundation, but I knew that we needed to do something in support of our veterans, something in support of our first responders. And so we did our research and found this amazing organization, nonprofit organization, the Gary Sinise Foundation, one of the nicest men that I've ever met. He's Lieutenant Dan.
From Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, I mean, my God, that man is incredible. And the work that he does. By the way, there are 49,000 veteran type nonprofit organizations in the US. And so we really vetted this out to find the one that we felt where their heart was in the right place, where they spent the money on where it needed to be spent. And that list goes on and on. So I love that I can have elevator conversations about the different charities that we support and the causes that we support. I can learn what I need to learn so that I am intelligent enough to sell to other people. Yeah, we're in support against the fight against slavery and sex trafficking. And here's the reason why. And I can share the stats. Yes, we support Children's Miracle Network Hospital, and there are 10 million children every single year who walk into a hospital, and many of them have no way of paying for those services. And that's why we support them, right? So I know enough information that I can be a voice. I can use my stage and my platform to spread those messages. And while at the same time, not only are we spreading the messages, we're also raising money. Because at the end of the day, all these organizations, yeah, they need your time, they need your skills, but they all need money. They need money. And so I'm really good at that. I can Cash, do me a favor. Will you just please stand up? Okay, now sit down. See, people do what you ask them to do. So if I ask people to give me money, please give me money. They do. And especially if I put my passion behind it, right? Like I can tell a story about why supporting veterans is important to me. I can tell a story about why supporting suicide prevention is important to me. I lost a brother to suicide. If I tell that story, if I tell a story about why I am in support of little kids with cancer, of why I'm in support of the different charities that we support, and that's how I get to spend the majority of my time. So it's a pretty sweet life, and I'm going to continue doing that. I mean, even if you could care less about supporting anything other than putting money into your own pocket, which is fine, by the way, right? Because there's nothing wrong with making money. And I believe that people who say that they don't care to make a lot of money would lie about other things as well. So making money is just fine. But even if you don't care about making a difference and all you care about at this stage of your life is paying your own rent and making money for yourself, well, then to pay attention to what I'm sharing with you right now is a really good idea, because studies show that 85% of customers, 85% of consumers will decide where they're going to spend money based on the philanthropy work of that charity. Of that business. So I can choose this salon or that salon. Yes, I spend money with my head. Spending money with my head means, is your location convenient? Is your pricing, does that make sense? Do they do a good job in cutting my hair? So that's how I spend money with my head. How I spend money with my gut is, do I like you? Do I trust you? Are you just as concerned with putting money back out into the community to do good things? Are you a good contributor, or are you only concerned with putting money into your own pocket, where all you do is you consume, you don't contribute? So if it was just for that reason alone, I want to make more money, Winn, well then cool, pay attention to what I'm talking about. You need to be a business that has a plan for giving back and making a difference. Be a good citizen in your community.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We'll get the links from Nancy to put them in the show notes so people can check out these charities, vet them. Winn's already done it. I will say, I don't know a single millionaire who isn't in support of giving to a charity or charitable efforts. Don't know a single one, not one. So if anybody's out there looking to achieve financial success and earn money for themselves, just know it's coming for you, whether it's a part of your tax strategy or not. I don't know a single one that's not giving. So get practicing. You can start practicing now. If you can't give $1, you're not going to be able to give more. So you can't put that stuff off later. I think, in my opinion, generosity is practiced at every stage. You're either being generous or you're not. We all have something to give, whether it's our time, our energy, like Winn is giving today, or your money. I think there's what you said is incredible. Be a business that is about giving. It's incredibly
important. Thanks, Jordan. Truly, truly a pleasure to be with you guys today.